welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to do a flow that focuses on reversing all the bad side effects from sitting at your desk and maybe hunching over, looking at your computer screen. We're going to open up the chest, open up the heart, open up the front of our hips, and hopefully improve our posture and feel better from having better posture. All right, we will start in a comfortable seated position. You can sit cross-legged if you'd like, or you can sit like I am up on a block. If you have a little bit of extra height under your hips, it will help at the beginning to give you just a little bit more range of motion as we get warmed up. So we'll go ahead and get started. Feel free to close your eyes or soften your gaze, and we will start with some deep breathing. Become aware of the breath. Notice the inhales and the exhales. Notice how they feel. Notice the length. Notice the temperature. And then start to lengthen the breath. So if you were breathing 1, 2, 3 counts in, just add one more count. And then exhale for the same amount of time. If you feel comfortable, maybe try adding one more count. And let's add one more last time, only if you feel comfortable. Just noticing the full deep inhale balanced by a full deep exhale. Last time, inhale fully. Hold the inhale. Maybe take one more small sip of air. And then exhale, big sigh. Close the lips and continue breathing through the nose. Maybe not quite as big of an inhale and an exhale, but still focusing on having nice long breaths, evenly balanced, so the same amount of time inhaling, same amount of time exhaling. Feel free to add the Ujjayi breath if that is something that's in your practice. Feel free to keep your eyes closed. On your next inhale, sweep the hands up and over, gently tapping the palms. And then exhale, arms cactus open. Open up the heart. Inhale here. On an Exhale, bring the palms and if you can, the forearms and the elbows together in front of you, rounding the upper back. Inhale, open. Exhale, round and maybe bow forward slightly, scooping the belly button in. Inhale, open. Exhale, round, squeeze the abdomen, press the air out. Inhale, last time, open. Exhale, round, maybe bringing the elbows towards the knees. Inhale, back all the way up. Exhale, as you release the hands, gentle twist to one side. Inhaling, reaching through the crown of the head. Exhaling, maybe looking just a tiny bit farther behind you. On your next inhale, both hands come back up to center. Exhale, twist to the other side. Again, remember, it's your choice whether the eyes are opened or closed. Find lots of length with every inhale and exhale, ease into the twist. Not too much intensity yet, as we're just warming up. On the next inhale, hands come back up towards the sky. And then exhale, release the hands and come up onto all fours. If you were sitting on a block, go ahead and put the block off to the side. And extend one leg behind you, tucking the toes and gently easing the back of the knee towards the sky or the ceiling. And then give yourself a couple of rocks, either forward or back, or maybe a few ankle circles, just to allow the blood to flow back into the knee from sitting in hero's pose. It can be pretty intense in your knees. Go ahead and switch. Opposite leg extends behind. Very, very gently easing the back of the knee towards the sky. And then maybe adding a little bit of movement in the ankle and toes. Release that knee back down, coming to tabletop. Feel free to grab an extra cushion for your knees or double up your mat. On an inhale, we're going to reach one hand up towards the sky. It doesn't have to go all the way up. And exhale, thread the needle under the other arm. Maybe tapping the side of your head or your ear to the ground. And then inhale back up. Notice you might be able to go an inch or two further towards the sky. Exhale, twist. Inhale. Think about using the upper back, those muscles, to create the extension with the hand, rather than forcing with the muscles of the shoulder. Exhale again, and one more time. Inhale. Exhale, thread the needle, and stay. Maybe extending your bent arm. If it's comfortable for you, you can add maybe some prayer hands or take the extended arm around the back. Whatever feels right for you at the beginning of practice. You may or may not feel quite stable enough to add more. So your choice. One more breath, and go ahead and come back to tabletop. Opposite side. Inhale. Exhale, thread the needle. Since we're warming up on the inhale, maybe only halfway or 2/3 of the way towards the sky. Exhale, underneath. Inhale, extend, maybe a tiny bit higher. Exhale. exhale, twisting. And then last time. Inhale. Exhale. Thread the needle and stay. Again, your choice what to do with that upper arm. Resting lightly on the shoulder of the bottom arm. Maybe resting lightly on the side of your head or your ear. One more breath and make your way back to table. So we're not going to be doing a lot of like a particularly fast flow, but we will be on our wrists a little bit. So we're going to do some wrist warm up, maybe starting with just a small circle and then switching directions. Come back to center and take the palms so that the fingertips go away from each other and the wrists come a little bit closer to each other. Going nice and slow, work your way towards one side and then the other. Go really slow. You have a lot less range of motion here than you might think. So you don't want to go too fast and then tweak the wrists before we even get started. One more time, both directions. Come back to center, and then you're going to take the fingers and bring them in towards each other. Maybe make fists and tap the elbows to the ground. Try to keep the hands closed as you extend. Again, only going as far as you can go, as far as feels a stretch, but no pain in the wrists. One more time. And then release. Go ahead and take last wrist stretch, fingertips towards the knees, and then gently start to sit back. And you will allow the wrists this time to peel up off the ground, getting the stretch into the fingertips, nice and slow, sitting back. And then release the fingers, inhale them up to the sky, and we're going to start slow and speed up. So extend the fingers and then make fists. Extend, close, extend, close. Start to make it a little faster. And if you want, you can warm up the shoulders as well by bringing the hands up and down. Get really fast, start to flick the fingers. Last time. And release, shake them out. And then come back to all fours. Tuck your toes and let's gently lift the hips, coming into our first downward facing dog. Maybe walking the heels, one heel at a time, towards the ground, warming up the back of the legs. And then find stillness, gently pressing both heels evenly towards the ground. It's fine if the knees are bent, especially since this is our first downward facing dog. Focus on extending through the tailbone, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. And as you get warmed up, then you can start to extend the legs. Take an inhale. And on an exhale, gently step forward. Coming into forward fold. Go ahead and heel toe the feet wide, slightly wider than the hips, and then relax, maybe wrapping the hands around the elbows, letting the weight of the upper body pull you forward. Again, knees bent is a great option for the beginning of class.
If it feels good, feel free to add a sway or maybe a figure 8 with the elbows and hands. Really make sure you're relaxing the head, releasing the neck, so you're not looking at your toes. Instead, you're looking behind you in between your knees. Come back to center, release the hands, and heel toe the feet back together. On an exhale, roll up, nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time, really using the core for strength. And then give yourself a big shoulder roll. Hands come to your heart center. Inhale. Exhale, gently fold forward. Inhaling, half lift. Hands come to your shins or even your thighs for support. And then release the hands back down to the ground. Inhale, step to plank. Exhale, we're gonna come down to the ground. So if you need to, you can drop your knees. Keep the elbows squeezed in tight towards the body and nice and slowly roll yourself down to the ground. For this first one, we'll add cobra. Think about reaching through the crown of the head, squeezing the shoulder blades together and down the back, reaching the shoulders away from the ears, and then release. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling up, cobra, engaging the upper back to lift, maybe even taking the hands out of the equation by lifting them up off the ground. Really use your upper back to create the extension, to create the lift, rather than relying on the hands. And release. Engage the core and push up to plank, and then exhale to downward dog. 3 breaths here. Remember that nice long line of energy from the fingertips out through the tailbone. And on your next exhale, gently step forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Inhale, hands grow tall. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Stepping back, plank. And then we're gonna slowly lower again. Go as slow as you can. Knees can be on the ground. If they're not on the ground, make sure you're engaging all the way through the front of the body. Not just in the abs, but also in the quads. Release down, and this time hands come next to your sides. Lift up into locust pose. So we're gonna be playing with locust a lot, so you'll have quite a few opportunities to take this in a variety of ways. Feel free to take it in whatever version is your favorite. You don't have to follow along with me, but we do want to engage the upper back so that we can open up the heart and have the strength for good posture when we're sitting at our desk, or more importantly, when we leave our desk. Go ahead and release back down. Hands come under the shoulders, engage the abs and push up to plank. And then back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, hands to your heart, belly button to your spine. Squeeze every time you come back to this centered position. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step back, plank, and then slowly lower to the ground. Releasing to the ground this time. Hands come behind, interlock the fingers, and maybe start to draw the knuckles down the back of the body. And as you draw them down, maybe the heart lifts. So you notice on these first couple, I haven't started to engage my legs yet. I'm just really focusing on the upper body, but if you want to start lifting the legs as well, that's totally fine. Remember, we're gonna be here a lot, so it's up to you to make it the best practice for what you need. Go ahead and release, pushing up to plank, and then to down dog. Inhale this time, pick up one foot. Exhale, step that foot through. And we're gonna come into warrior one. So back heel comes to the ground, rising up. If you need to, creating more space by walking the front knee farther to the outside edge of the mat and making sure that your knee is as close to on top of the ankle as you can get it. Don't let the knee roll in. Take another inhale. And on your exhale, interlock the fingers again behind your back. Opening up the heart towards the sky, making sure that you're not dumping your weight into the lower back. You're still lifting as you reach behind. On the next exhale, roll the body forward, coming into humble warrior. Keeping the palms connected, making sure that you're not overextending through the shoulders. So if the hands are a little bit closer to the hips, that's perfectly fine. One more breath here. And then rise back up to warrior one. We're gonna transition to warrior three, but not in the way that most of us are used to doing it. Instead, just gently step forward, trying to maintain your balance on one leg. Engage the entire back. Feel through the glute, the lower back, the upper back, reach to the fingertips. And then from here, start to tilt. Just tilt. Maybe 5-10 degrees, noticing the added challenge, not just in your balance, but also in your upper back, to keep that long line of energy from the fingers to the floating toe. Maybe a little bit deeper. Maybe a little bit deeper. If you're still pretty upright, that's totally fine, as long as you're engaging the upper back. Take another breath, soften the knee of the standing leg, and gently come back to warrior one. Release the hands behind, and you can either wrap around the elbows or bring the hands into prayer in between the shoulder blades. Take an inhale and extend the front leg. Exhale, fold forward, pyramid pose. This is very challenging since there's no support. So if you find you're hyperextending in the front leg, go ahead and release the hands to support yourself on either side of the foot, and maybe even grab your blocks for a little bit of extra height. One more breath. Soften the front knee, rise back up, and release the hands towards the sky. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands to the ground, and step back to plank. Your choice whether or not you would like to take a more traditional vinyasa. We're all gonna meet in down dog, so if you'd like to skip the vinyasa and meet us there, that's a great option. On the next inhale, opposite foot rises up, hips stay square, reach through the heel of the floating leg, and then on an exhale, gently step the foot through, back heel to the ground, warrior one. Settle in, sink into the front leg,
Equal pressure in all parts of the foot and the back leg. And then when you're ready, release the hands behind and interlock the opposite thumb on top. Draw the knuckles down and back. Open the heart towards the sky. Think about lifting with the sternum. And then on the next exhale, roll yourself forward. Shoulder comes right to the inside of that knee. Make sure the hips don't sway out to the side. Try to keep those hips square underneath your body, square in between your feet. One more breath. And roll yourself back up to upright, releasing the hands and stepping onto the front leg, trying to maintain your balance. And then starting towards warrior three. So staying here if that's enough of a challenge. Maybe going a little bit deeper. Engaging all the way from fingertips through the heel of the floating leg. Maybe a little deeper. And maybe the deepest option, 2 breaths. Soften the knee of the standing leg and gently step back. Warrior one. Again, releasing the hands behind, either grabbing a hold of the elbows or bringing the palms together between your shoulder blades. Inhale, extend to the front leg. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold forward. This prayer option can be really intense on your wrists, so if that's too much, please grab a hold of the elbows instead. You'll still find that openness through the shoulders. One more breath. Rise up, soften the front leg, warrior one. Inhale, exhale, release the hands to the ground, step back. Remember, it's your choice whether or not you flow through chaturanga. You can also take cobra instead of up dog, and we'll all find your way to down dog. 3 breaths here. On your next exhale, gently step forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise all the way up. Hands to your heart center, squeeze the belly button to the spine. Inhale, reach up and notice the expansion in the abdomen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release, and gently step to plank. Going as slow as you can, at least 5 seconds, making our way to the ground. 3, 2, and 1. Good. This time, let's go ahead and bring the hands out in front and rise up for another variation of locust. If you want, just for funsies, you can add some swimmers. Come back to center, release to the ground, hands under your shoulders, push up to plank, and then back to down dog. Inhale, pick up 1 foot. And this time we're going to stack the hips and allow that foot to hang heavy. Notice the foot is gently opening up the hips, but you're not letting the shoulders follow suit. So the shoulders and the hands are still evenly pressed towards the ground. Inhale, extend the leg. Exhale, gently step the foot through. Back heel to the ground. But this time we're going to windmill up to warrior two. Find warrior two, find stability, find balance. Again, making sure this front knee is not rolling forward. And then to engage the upper body, we're going to flip the palms up, and on an exhale, squeeze the elbows towards the midline, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Release. Exhale, squeeze. Release. Exhale, squeeze. One more time. Release. And squeeze. Go ahead and release. And this time on the exhale, reverse your warrior. Keeping the shoulder open, keeping the front leg bent. And on your next exhale, roll the upper body into extended side angle. You can start with the elbow on the knee. If you have a little bit more range of motion in the front hip, you can release those fingertips to the ground. And then let's take the floating hand and wrap it behind us, maybe reaching into the hip of the front leg, or if it's in your practice, you can try for a bind. Really intense shoulder opener if you're bound, so listen to your body. Feel free to grab a strap if you can't reach your fingers. Release the hands, and on an exhale, extend the front leg and reverse triangle. Just one breath here, and then we're going to float forward into half moon. Feel free to stay here in half moon, or again, using a strap, or if you can reach, maybe grabbing a hold of the floating leg, coming into Chapasana. Feel free to put a block underneath the grounded hand. I personally find that I'm less stable with a block, but for a lot of you, it'll help bring the floor up and make it a little bit easier to reach. Gently release your hold on the floating foot and step back, warrior two. Take a breath, and then on an exhale, round down. Remember, chaturanga is up to you. You can skip it. You can go straight to down dog. That's where we're headed. Opposite side, inhale, the foot floats up. Bend the knee. Pretend like there's a little weight with a string on your big toe, and that weight is pulling the foot over, opening up the hip. But again, shoulders stay square to the ground. On your next inhale, extend the leg back to the sky. Exhale, step it through, coming into warrior two. Take a moment to settle, and then when you're ready, flip the palms. On an exhale, engage the upper back. Inhale, release. Exhale, engage, and release. Twice more. Last time. Strengthening the back and opening the heart. On your next exhale, reverse your warrior, resting the back hand on your calf or your thigh, but trying to avoid the knee. And then on an exhale, extended side angle. Remember, you have options here, so you can stay right here with a lot more room to open up the shoulder, look towards the sky. Or maybe you'd like to extend the fingertips to the ground. Or maybe you would like to start to open the top shoulder, either reaching behind
or going for the bind. If you're going for the bind, make sure that you're still stacking the shoulders and rolling the upper body back on top of the leg rather than letting the body roll forward just so that you can grab the hands. If you're doing that, then you are eliminating the purpose of opening up the shoulder. Good, go ahead and release. And on an exhale, reverse triangle. Shifting forward, finding your balance, coming into half moon. Starting with half moon, find stability, and then if it's available to you, reaching for the floating foot. Once you have a hold of the foot, or if you've wrapped a strap around the foot, push the foot into the hand, open up the hip flexor of that floating leg. Gently release, soften the knee of the standing leg, and step back, warrior two. Taking an inhale, and then exhale, windmill the hands down, and choose to take a vinyasa or skip it. Three breaths and down dog. If you need an extra break, you can always find child's pose and catch your breath there. On your next exhale, gently step forward, coming into forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, hinge from the hips and fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release, and step gently to plank. Going nice and slow, making our way to the floor, maybe taking a little bit longer this time, maybe 7 counts. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Releasing down to the ground. Let's go ahead and take a very traditional locust, bringing both the upper body and the feet off the ground. And then from here, maybe transition to bow, grabbing a hold of the ankles or the feet, and then pushing the feet into the hands to lift the heart a little bit higher. Making sure that your knees are not splaying out to the sides, so squeezing with the inner thighs to keep your knees in the same plane as your hips. Gently release, hands come under the shoulders, pushing up and back to down dog. On your next inhale, pick up one foot. Exhale, step that foot through. Now, if your right foot is at the front of your mat, then keep your left hand on the ground and open up towards that front leg into an easy twist. Try to keep the hips stacked, meaning we don't want to dump into the hand and roll our hips, so the hips are, I guess square would be a better term. One more breath, and on an exhale, we're gonna come up into an unsupported twist, reaching the hand behind, maybe bringing the gaze behind, and then maybe going a little bit farther, reaching that back hand down the back thigh, opening up towards the sky. One more breath. And exhale, windmill both hands to the inside of the foot. Walk that foot a little bit farther to the outside edge of the mat, and then drop the back knee for lizard. We're gonna be here for quite a while, so make sure you're comfortable with enough cushion under your knee. Maybe start by rocking side to side. And then we're going to find stillness, centered. Feel free to stay right here if this is enough for you, or maybe come down onto the elbows. Regardless of if you are on your hands or your elbows, we're going to shift and bring the hand to the inside of the knee and maybe start to put a little bit of pressure coming onto the knife edge of that front leg, sinking a little bit deeper into the hips. Now this class is about opening up the front of the body, so go ahead and kick up that back foot. Maybe you just kick it up and stay there. Maybe you grab a strap, or maybe you can reach with your hand, opening up the hip flexor of that back leg and the shoulder of the top arm. If you have a hold of your foot, go ahead and release. We will all come back up onto our hands. Tuck the toes of the back foot and extend that leg off the ground, and then try to engage the core and keep your knee on your elbow. Just a brief moment of core work, and then step it back, plank, take a vinyasa, or skip it, and meet us in down dog. Opposite side, extend the foot towards the sky, and then exhale, bring that foot through. Make sure you have plenty of space so that as you roll open into that twist, you don't dump the hips to one side. One more breath here, and you can stay here if you'd like, or challenge your balance by rising up into that unsupported twist, maybe looking behind you, engaging the back body to open up that back hand, and then sliding the back hand down the back thigh, coming into a revolved twist. One more breath, and on your exhale, windmill the hands to the inside of the foot. Walk that foot out towards the edge of your mat and drop the back knee to the ground, coming into lizard. Again, maybe rocking side to side, just warming up the hip joints before you go deeper. And you do not have to go deeper. Remember, that's optional, and it might be different on this side. Our bodies are not made equally. We're here because we're trying to balance that out a little bit, but it is perfectly normal to have one side feel very different than the other. Just like we did on the other side, maybe start to put a little bit of pressure into the inside part of the knee of that front leg, rolling on to the edge of the foot, getting a little bit deeper into the hips, and then picking up the back leg and reaching for the foot, or again, wrapping the strap around it. So if you're on your elbow and you find this is really challenging, try coming up onto the hand. It'll be easier to reach the foot, and you might be able to get even more intensity because you're not straining to reach.
Gently release. Both hands come back to the ground. Come up onto your hands if you are on your knees. Tuck the back toes, and let's pause with the knee on the elbow, engaging the core, and then step back. Last opportunity for a vinyasa, if you've been taking them. Exhale, everyone meets in down dog. Take 2 more breaths here. And then shift your weight forward and gently come all the way onto the ground. We're going to come into a really intense shoulder stretch. So bring your hands to a T. Make sure you remove all of your obstacles. And then we're going to roll over onto one shoulder, stacking your hips, keeping your opposite hand for support, or making it more intense by bringing that top foot behind you and opening up your hip flexor a little bit. If you still want more, take your floating hand or your top hand and bring it behind. Maybe reach towards the fingertips that are on the mat. I've only seen like 2 people that can interlock their fingers, so if you can do that, great. But my joints are definitely not made for that. Good, wherever you are, we're going to very carefully roll back to center. So support yourself with your hand or your floating leg. Readjust, opposite arm extends, and gently roll yourself onto the other side. Again, support with your top hand in front of you, if that feels good. If you want more, top leg reaches behind. Take a breath or 2 here before you move on. We want to check in and see how we're feeling before we add on. But if you are feeling good and you would like to add a little bit more, opening through the heart and the shoulders, maybe the top hand reaches behind as well. Part of the beauty of the breath in yoga is to slow it down and notice how one variation of a pose feels before you just systematically move on or add on. We want to really be in touch with how things feel so that if we do need more or we want less, we are making conscious decisions for our body. Go ahead and make your way back to center. And then gently push up. And let's find just a brief child's pose, just for a moment. If it's too much on the shoulders, maybe bring the hands to your heels. And then roll yourself up to upright. And however you'd like to get there, either crossing the legs and sitting back or swinging the legs around to the side, we are going to make our way onto our backs. So go nice and slow. Let's engage our core one last time. Let's go down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release the shoulders and the head to the ground, and then walk the feet a little bit closer to your hips. We're going to push up into our first of a few bridge poses. So make this one nice and gentle. Lift the hips towards the sky, making sure that the neck is neutral so we're not putting too much pressure, pushing the back of the neck into the ground, but we're also not trying to jut the chin out or reach the eyes up towards the top, or I guess the bottom of our mat. Just a neutral neck. Exhale, squeeze the abs and roll the spine down one vertebrae at a time. Take a breath. And then we're gonna push up again and add a little intensity if you want. If you want to start backing it down, you can go for a supported bridge with a block underneath your hips. But if you would like to add on with me, push the hips up. And then we're gonna roll the shoulders under and interlock the fingers. One more breath. Release the hands and exhale. Everyone will roll back down. We're going to do one more. So if you would like to take wheel pose, that is a great option. I'm going to stick with bridge, but I am going to add some more intensity. So let's all go ahead and roll back up. If you're using the block, maybe think about extending the legs and resting with the feet extended, so you have a little bit more intensity in the front of the hips while you're still being supported. Now, if you're with me and you would like a little bit more intensity, walk the feet in a little bit farther, grab a hold of the ankles, and push the hips higher to the sky. One more breath. And then let's all release down. If your heels are really close to your hips, maybe come up onto the toes so that you have a little bit more space to roll the spine down one vertebrae at a time. And then let's bring our knees to our chest and go ahead and rock the whole body side to side, not just the knees, but rock onto each shoulder blade. Come back to center and open the knees wide to either side of your upper body. Grab a hold of the soles of the feet and find happy baby. Think about rolling the tailbone towards the ground, rolling the shoulders towards the ground. So without really pulling on the feet, you're adding intensity just by thinking about lengthening the spine and letting the spine mold into the ground. From here, bring the soles of the feet together and wrap your hands around the soles of the feet. And then let the weight of the feet start to drop towards the hips. And let the weight of the feet drop towards the hands. And you'll notice a couple of things here. You'll notice a little bit more intensity in the inner hips and thighs as the weight of the feet naturally pulls towards your hips. And then you might notice some lengthening of the neck and the top of the shoulders as the weight of the feet drops into the hands. Should feel really good, especially if you're like me, hunched over a computer with your ears or your shoulders to your ears all the time. And then go ahead and release some of that intensity in the hands. Release the hands and let the feet drop towards the ground, knees wide, coming into reclined butterfly or reclined goddess. If this is too much on your hips, you can always add a block, or if you don't have blocks, you can put your fists underneath your thighs just to feel supported. We're going to transition to Shavasana, but before we do, please feel free to take any final poses that feel good for you and where your body is at today. And then we'll go ahead and extend the legs one leg at a time, coming into Shavasana. And go ahead and settle in, maybe tucking the shoulder blades under the body, allowing the feet to roll open, allowing the hands to soften, fingertips curl. And then I want you to scan your body. Remember, today's class was about reversing the negative effects of a desk job or being seated a lot. And so I want you to notice, with the body flat on the ground, how does it feel? Are you able to lie here with more ease because the shoulders and the hips are more willing to relax open? Are you able to feel tall and long while you're supported against the ground? Start to release your awareness of the body and just relax. Release any control that you may have had over the breath and allow the body to recover. We'll be here for another minute or two. I will let you know when it's time to sit up. But remember, this is your practice, so if you would like to stay here for much longer, go right ahead and enjoy all the benefits of your practice in this final pose, Shavasana. Slowly start to become aware of the body again. Be aware of your ability to move, starting with the extremities, wiggling fingers and toes, maybe a few circles. And then wherever you are at, gently roll yourself over onto one side, supporting your head with your shoulder or a towel. And then make your way up to a comfortable seated position. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you feel better posture. I hope you feel taller, more confident. Thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.